Rock on.
Okay, I apologize for the loss of Wi-Fi connection, but it happens. We were just going to move to Sam Youth here on Saturday's game watching. What was your impression of the game? Army 38-35 over Western Kentucky.
Well, it was, as Steve said, it was a great team victory. As Jeff Monken said, we made just enough plays to win. And the good that I saw, Christian Anderson, best game from start to finish he has ever had as an Army quarterback. The pitch play, the return, Tyrell Robinson averaging over 11 yards a carry. That's what happens when you get the ball to the outside in the option, when the defense gets lulls into waiting on the fullback dive. Special teams, recovering 3 onside kicks, Cole Talley's field goal, which was the difference, a big boost in the hopes of being able to hold off that furious Western Kentucky comeback. The defense for 3 quarters and 5 minutes was a good. And then there was the bad. The fumble, the first time Army had the ball down on the 10-yard line when what certainly would have ended up a score. That was just plain ugly, and it can't happen. I know it was Army's first and only turnover of the season so far, but even that's too many, especially against a team like Western Kentucky. More bad was what happened to the defense with the last 10 minutes to go in the game. I get it that Western Kentucky made some adjustments. They figured a few things out. They went into a super hurry up. They were running their receivers all over the place. The Army defensive line was getting a little winded out there, it looked like, because they were getting beat up by a big offensive line. But why did we not call timeout to regroup? Why did we just let them keep playing? I mean, there were plays where Army got caught with extra players on the field. People were out of position. Hands were being waved in the backfield. And don't get me wrong, I'm not dinging Nate Woody because that was the only 10-minute lapse of Nate Woody's career with Army. But 21 points in the last 10 minutes of the game, and you survived because you recovered an onside kick with 21 seconds when you were up 35-14 with 10 minutes to go in the game. Wow, that was ugly. And thank God we came out on top. I still do not walk away thinking that Western Kentucky was that good as the score indicated. I thought that the game was, I did not think the final score was as close as what the game actually was. I think that Army just lost their wits on defense in the last 10 minutes of the game. And but again, great victory, great team victory, builds a lot of confidence. And now we're moving on to the next opponent.
Yeah, it was quite a difference. I mean, what struck me, Sam, was that in the third quarter, after Anthony Atkins did get the touchdown, Western Kentucky scored. They went 8 plays, 75 yards in 2 minutes, 26 seconds. Then the next drive, they go 6 plays, 63 yards, a minute 23 for a touchdown, 14-yard pass from Zapp to Jarrett Stern. And then the final, they went 75 yards in 9 minutes, a minute and 30 seconds. Adam Cofield got the 2-yard run with 22 seconds, forcing Army to again recover the third.
Ken?
Uh-oh.
Ken's having some issues here.
Are you still with us? Let's see.
I hear his voice. He's still there.
It sounds like he's cutting in and out.
This is Richard. Let's see. So
He left, and
Ken Kresser left. He's like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here.
Okay, so I guess it now is referencing to me as the host.
all right, next man up.
Okay, okay, we were talking about Army's victory over Western Kentucky, 38 to 35. That was a good victory, but I still think a little bit too close for comfort. I mean, Tyler Robinson came out energetic in the second quarter, rushing for 14 plays on the first play of the second quarter. Army gets on. Oh, Ken looks like he's gonna rejoin us right now.
Okay, Richard, go ahead.
Okay. Robinson recorded his third 50-yard touchdown, his longest since the 2020 season. While he had a 50-yard rush against Abilene Christian, Cole Tilley scored an extra point for the Black Knights to make the score 7-0. I like that. Army won the game, but again, still even a little bit too close for comfort. After even building up a lead in the second quarter and but allowing 21 points at the end. That is again, the win is nice, but it's a little bit too close for comfort. Have to tighten up, I think, in some areas if they are going to be able to be as good as we expect.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack, what was your thought on the game?
That was a great game. Heck of a game for Christensen. We were just talking about that. Christian Anderson, excuse me. 119 yards rushing, had that great touchdown pass to Bram Murphy. Army played very well. Time of possession, that's one thing we always talk about is time of possession in these games. Army 39-38 time of possession to Kentucky's 20-22. So great job of ball possession by Army. Also for the second straight week, they forced a turnover on the opening drive of their opponent, which is great. It was that interception by Markel Broughton. And they have an 11-game win streak at Mikey Stadium. And this was win number 51 for Jeff Monken as head coach of the Black Knights. So great game.
Yeah, that's an interesting point about the winning streak at Mikey Stadium. Obviously, they won 8 games there last year. And so looking at the stats on the game, Army ran for 339 yards. Western Kentucky not running much at all, just gained 42 yards on 19 attempts. The Army a healthy 5.1 yards rushing per carry. But passing, Bailey Zapp, an extraordinary game, 435 yards passing, Army 77. But Christian Anderson, 5 out of 6 completions, averaged 12.8 yards. Bailey Zapp, 28 of 40 with 1 interception. That by Markel Broughton early in the game. And that generated 435 yards offense for them. Steve Shalou, what do you think of that quarterback for Western Kentucky, Bailey Zapp?
Yeah, no, I thought he was a pretty talented guy. He got the ball out quick. If we could get a little pressure on him, he wasn't as accurate as most quarterbacks were, but he definitely. I thought I was pretty impressed with the way he handled things and way he was able to come back. I mean, he was a good test, and it's so hard for a team like ours to get a scout team to play at the caliber of a guy like that, to get ready for that game. The speed, they always talk about it's tough to get ready for Army because you can't really mimic the option offense. It's just as tough for Army to get ready for a team like that, because if they had a quarterback that could throw like that, they probably wouldn't be running the option. So it's a double-edged sword. But all in all, I thought we did what we needed to do to win that ball game.
Yeah, what do you think, Sam? You know quarterbacks.
Absolutely. And I just want to make sure you're still recording. I know with the break there, you might have not been able to resume recording.
We are recording.
Excellent. Yeah, I would say that Zapp, he was as advertised. I'd never heard of the guy until we started talking about him last week, and you brought up, the production he had in FCS football. So I got to admit, I was a little skeptical that maybe he just hadn't really faced any FBS competition. But after seeing his body of work, especially in the fourth quarter, and the absolute chaos he created for the Army defensive secondary and the offensive line that he has, which is brutish, I would say he's going to be lighting up a lot of teams this year. So Western Kentucky's got to be real happy that they have him. But, let's flip the coin here. Let's look at Army's quarterback play. That was the best quarterback play start to finish for an Army game in probably 3 seasons, in my opinion. When you look at last season, we did a lot of shuttling of quarterbacks. We had good play, bad play. We'd have good play for a quarter, bad play for the next quarter. So you got to look back to when Kelvin Hopkins was the starter, or maybe Jabari Laws when he played in the UTSA game in 2019 to find the last time that we had excellent quarterback play from start to finish. And I just want to point out something about his passing stat. It was 5 of 6, yes, but the pass that was not complete was a drop. It was right in the guy's hands for first down yardage. It should have been 6 for 6, but we'll take 5 out of 6 and we'll take the win. So it was a great team victory. Quarterbacks on both sides of the ball played their game and played very well at it. And they both gave the defense of both of the opposing teams fits all day long.
And it was a good day for Army on the slot backs. Tyrell Robinson, 81 yards and a touchdown. The first touchdown for Army to make it 6-0 on a 24-yard run, running right. And he had another play later that helped set up a touchdown on the Anthony Atkins run in the fourth quarter. So I was noticing when you added up, Tyrell got 7 runs. Brandon Walters had 3 for 27. AJ Howard had 3 runs for 8, and Brant Murphy got 1. That is 14 runs by the slotbacks, which we were saying Army needs to try to get, what did you say, over 12 or more to win? So they got 14 runs by the slotbacks, and then Brandon Walters had a catch, and then also Tyrell Robinson did, and Brant Murphy. So they got 3 passes out to the slotbacks. Do you feel that's getting the ball out to the perimeter a little bit more effectively?
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump on that because I'm harping on that all the time. I think, what I liked about it, and the answer is no. We haven't gotten it out there enough yet, and we're getting better doing it. But what I liked about it is we look smoother. It didn't look as choppy and as, when you're thinking, you're not playing. You've got to be just smooth and reacting. And we're getting there. I feel that is where Anderson really showed me it looked almost triple option-esque of the 90s. He was out, he was eliminating the pitch key, he was getting that ball outside, and we were attacking that corner. So I think we took a huge step forward with it. Is it enough? Not yet, but I think we're progressing and building trust. And I think this is a lot about trust between Monken to the O coordinator and the O coordinator to the quarterback themselves. And if we can start trusting that we're not going to put the ball on the turf, I think they'll want to get that ball outside more. So we took steps forward, not enough, but I will tell you, this week against UConn, we could start really, really working on some things there, because it's not going to be as tight of a situation. I mean, they're still a Division I team, and we ought to take them seriously, but I think our margin for taking chances could be a little bit more, and we may see more of it.
Yeah, obviously UConn struggling 0-3 on the year. They've had shut out twice, shut out by Purdue most recently. First game 45-0 by Fresno State, and they lost to Holy Cross 38-28. Holy Cross, a Patriot League FCS team. So they're struggling, and their coach Randy Edsel left on Monday. I'm not sure if he had announced he was going to retire at the end of the year. Then after the 0-3 start, he decided to leave immediately. So they're going through a coaching change this week.
Well, they play like an Edsel, and also Army's over 30-point favorite in this game. So that is indicative of what Vegas feels about it.
When you say that, Steve, UConn has really struggled since they left the Big East, and they weren't picked up by the Atlantic Coast Conference when Syracuse, Pittsburgh, and Boston College were. And Army went up. Army lost to them up there. I think it was 5 years ago in 2015, and they have struggled. And they didn't play last year in the COVID year. And where do you see the future of their program? I mean, they would be desperately trying to get into a Power 5 league. I don't know if the America Conference would have them back as a football only school, where at least they were in some pretty good competition. Any thoughts on what their future may look like?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it all the way around, I mean, it's a basketball school, and even if you go to the stadium, it's really, I mean, the stadium's not, it's a, man, I don't want to insult a team when they're down, but it's just not indicative of a FBS school all the way around, how they operate their business, from the stadium to the coaching decisions to everything else. And you got to look like a duck, you got to walk like a duck, act like a duck if you want to be a duck. And that's not just because they beat up on Ohio State, but it's just very difficult for them to attract. It's got to be tough for them to attract talent. The best way to do it probably is somebody who can attract, players that are on the outs, that are in the portal, and get well quickly. And they still could do that, by the way. I mean, it's until game 4 that people can come and play for you, which blows my mind. So, they're going to have to figure out an identity and kind of press that. And they're going to need a very strong coach that can, instill that in them and the administration for them to pump money into it and make them look, feel, act, walk, quack like a duck, like a FBS school. Right now, they're not. They're really not. It's almost what Buffalo went through as they tried to ascend. They had a couple good years, and now they're on the outs. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be an uphill. You're going to need somebody that's coming out of a FCS school that's kind of talented and wants to cut their teeth in the bowl division, and maybe they hit lightning, but right now they've got a long road ahead of them.
Yeah, reports were I think 2 years ago, they were losing $40 million a year on athletics, despite even with what they were earning in basketball. It may pick up because of joining the Big East, but the lack of TV money for the American Conference, I don't know what they're doing now. This also fits into what happened last week in college football. We might as well cover it, with 3 of the teams from the America Conference announcing that they were invited and would accept bids to go to the Big 12, with Houston, Cincinnati, and I believe Memphis. That is is tremendous disruption for that conference to lose 3 of their members. And Sam, any talk in your neighborhood about the move of the 3 America Conference teams to the Big 12 last week?
No, I'm in Alabama. They don't talk about lesser leagues. They only talk about the SEC and most notably Alabama and Auburn football around here. So I'm sure that the citizens of Huntsville, Alabama, every other house has either an Alabama or an Auburn flag on it. They're like, Cincy who? Houston, is that the Oilers? And Memphis, yeah, I've been there. I went to Beale Street. So actually, that move, maybe it lightens the load a little bit for Navy, just when they need they need to take a load out of their rucksack right there. But I'm not sure that that move is going to be particularly long-term successful for those three teams. Cincinnati's definitely benefiting from the program that they have now, the coach they have now. He's a name that's in high demand. Perhaps this move will give them an infusion of money that will allow them to keep him around. Memphis has been a perennial power in the AAC, and they seem to always be competing for the AAC championship game. And this year may be more of the same for them. But how long can it last when they move to the type of competition that they're headed to? And Houston, I'm just not sure about, whether or not that's a good move for Houston at all. This is the same Houston program that Army destroyed in the Armed Forces Bowl in not so distant memory. And I'm not saying that Houston hasn't improved from that, but my goodness, you never know what team's going to show up on any given Saturday. So we'll see how it shakes out, and we'll see who AAC starts sending feelers out to join their conference to fill the gap. And I'm going to use that as just a moment. So any of you guys on the All Academy Wars forum there that are bringing up this whole topic about Army joining a conference again, hey, here's your answer. Should Army join a conference? Well, let's see. No, 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 and no. Next up. Okay. Next subject.
I mean, if you look at, listen, really jump it. Let's look at the end result of what's going on now. I mean, is it going to be a good move for Texas to join the SEC after what Arkansas did to them? I mean, that's Arkansas. This is not Auburn. It's Arkansas, and they manhandled them.
Absolutely.
So welcome to the SEC, guys. In Oklahoma, who has been riding the coattails of weak opponents all decade, is going to run into a buzzsaw that they have never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it's interesting, but it's all driven by the TV dollars that Oklahoma and Texas can generate with their fan base and television viewers. I got to correct one point that it's Central Florida joining the Big 12, along with BYU being the fourth school. And so that will change the Big 12 and keeps the thought in college football of 5 power conference teams, which means that you have to have more than 4 in a championship playoff in order to have each conference represented. But will seem like the Big 12 could be the easier road to getting into the college football playoff when all this happens. Now, I wanted to go back to Army. We missed talking about one point is the defense. And one of the players that did really well is growing as a sophomore, Spencer Jones, had 6 tackles, 3 solos, and 1 sack for a 4-yard loss. Andre Carter was shaken up in the second half, but he had 4 tackles on the game, 1.5 sacks for a 9-yard loss. And also Kobana Bonzu had a sack in 4 tackles, and a young player, Jalen Jacobs, number 48, was half a sack in a tackle. So Julian McDuffie, 5 tackles on the day, 4 solos. Eric Smith, 4. Jabari Moore had 3. Cedric Cunningham, 3. So the Army defense, they played well, but then, and I don't know, when Andre Carter is now such a difference maker for the team. Sam, what do you think happened in the second half when Western Kentucky was able to throw the ball long and the Army defense was letting the ball get over on several plays?
This was a great example of what Steve was talking about in preparation for this game. It was impossible to field a scout team that could duplicate what Western Kentucky did in their hurry-up offense in the fourth quarter. You got to couple that with the fact that when Western Kentucky put their hurry up offense in high gear, they were taking advantages of the fact that Army's pass rush was getting frustrated. And I give kudos to Steve for last week of pointing out that Western Kentucky brought 30 pounds per man more to the line than what Georgia State brought. And it started to wear on the defense pretty hard. And their receivers were good. These guys were flying all over the place. And the defense just did not have time to react. At the line of scrimmage, it didn't have a chance to get their defensive backs in place or their coverages. There were literally plays where Army defenders were raising their arms right before the ball was snapped because they didn't know what the call was, or they didn't know who they were covering, what coverage was in place, and receivers were streaking all over the place wide open. And so Western Kentucky took advantage of this. What I can't understand, though, is why we didn't call a timeout. Why not settle them down, take a timeout, take them to the sideline, talk it over, give them a chance to regroup. And it got progressively worse. I mean, that last touchdown they scored, they got the ball with 1:30 to go and went straight down the field and scored. And man, I'll tell you, at the West Point Society gathering that we were having at a local watering hole, now I might have had a few beers by then, but I'll tell you what, that wasn't calming my nerves. And we had a serious pucker factor going on there on that last onside kick, because we knew if Western Kentucky recovered that last onside kick, they were going to score. And it was probably going to be a touchdown at the way they were putting points up in the end. So will we face another team like this? I don't know. Looking down the schedule, I don't see us coming up against another Zap in that group of wide receivers, but other teams that we face do a lot more passing than what Army does, and they are definitely scrutinizing that hurry up offense of Western Kentucky in the game film. So I'm sure that that Coach Woody has got his defense going back to the drawing board to make sure that when you're faced with that type of talent and that type of a hurry up set, that you can make split-second decisions and defensive calls that are going to put you in the best position to defend the next play.
Okay. And Sam, I got to compliment you on your Army. Is that called a Hawaiian shirt?
Yeah.
It
You
looks
like
really
that?
good. I know
Yeah.
it's fashionable in Army military circles. So very nice. Richard, tell us about some of the other games that happened this weekend. There was a big upset out in Columbus, Ohio.
Yes, there was other games, other games going on this weekend. Well, let's see. Can I get it up here? Yeah, Saturday, the Ohio State. Let's see. I'm trying to find where I can get that. Oh, hold on a minute. College football scores. That's what I'm trying to get to. Okay,
Okay.
Here we are. The all FBS games, top 25 games. Number 25 Auburn 62-0 over Alabama State. Ohio State losing to Oregon. Oregon is now 2-0 on the season. Oregon is number 12 in the country. 35-28 Oregon with the victory. The Buckeyes fall to 1-1 on the season. Number 13 Florida 2-0 on the season over South Florida, who was 0-2 on the season. 42-20. Number 19 Virginia Tech 35-14 over Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee's 1-1. While Virginia Tech is 2-0 on the season. Number 8, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish have a 32-29 victory over Toledo. Notre Dame is 2-0 on the season. Toledo is 500 at 1-1. Number 11, Penn State 44-13 over Ball State. Ball State's 1-1 on the season. Penn State improves to 2-0. Murray State is 1-1. Number 7, Cincinnati is now 2-0 on the season. They win 42-7. Cincinnati is now 2-0 on the season. Texas A&M improves to 2-0 with a 10-7 victory over Colorado. Texas A&M is ranked number 5 in the country. Number 2, Georgia Bulldogs really put the hammer down on UAB. Georgia's 2-0. UAB is 1-1, a 56-7 victory for the Georgia Bulldogs. The Alabama Crimson Tide are now 2-0 with a 48-14 victory over Mercer, which is 1-1 on the season, a 48-14 victory. Alabama's 2-0 on the season. Number 10, Iowa, and number 9, Iowa State. A 27-17 victory for Iowa State, a 10-point victory. Iowa's 2-0 on the season. Number 9, Iowa State is 1-1 on the season. Number 6, Clemson, 49-3 over South Carolina. South Carolina State is 0-2 on the season, while Clemson is 1-1 on the season. Miami gets by Appalachian State 25-23, but the number 22 Hurricanes get their first victory of the season. Appalachian State is also 1-1 on the season. Eastern Michigan and number 18 Wisconsin, 34-7 Wisconsin victory. Wisconsin is now 1-1 along with Eastern Michigan, which is also 1-1. Number 15 Texas loses to Arkansas. Arkansas improves to 2-0 on the season, a 40-21 victory. Texas is 1-1 on the season. Number 4 Oklahoma, 76-0, doing a real number over Western Carolina. Oklahoma is now 2-0 on the season. Western Carolina is 0-2. Number 20 Ole Miss and Austin Peay. Ole Miss is now 2-0 on the season, 54-17 over Austin Peay. Ole Miss really puts the hammer down there. Number 24 North Carolina beating Georgia State. Georgia State's 0-2 on the season. North Carolina picking up their first win of the season with a 59-17 blowout for their win. BYU improves to 2-0 over number 21 Utah, 26-17 victory. BYU is 2-0. Utah is 1-1 on the season. Number 14 USC, who will fall to 1-1 on the season. Stanford beats them 42-28. Both teams are 1-1 on the season. Number 23 Arizona State, 37-10 over UNLV. UNLV starts off the year with 2 straight losses, while Arizona State is 2-0 on the season. And number 17 Coastal Carolina, 49-22 over Kansas. Coastal Carolina is 2-0 on the season, while Kansas is 1-1 on the season.
Very good there, Richard. Some big notable games. Obviously, we talked about earlier, Texas losing to Arkansas and Oregon going into the horseshoe and defeating Ohio State, and Oklahoma winning big, and North Carolina winning big over Georgia State. BYU pulling off a win, and also Stanford over USC. They're talking about, the Pac-12 needing USC to be good, and Stanford goes in and wins there. So it looks like Oregon and Stanford are the bellwethers of the Pac-12 as it stands right now. Now, Jack, go
I'm
ahead.
just going to say that the SEC must be shaking in their boots after seeing Oklahoma with that statement victory over perennial power Western Carolina. Wow. I'm going to go check with my neighbors who are Alabama fans to find out if they're getting worried now. And my other comment is that USC fired their head coach after that Stanford game.
That's something, boy. USC has gone through a lot of coaches. They've had trouble in their athletic department. They had the scandal a few years ago with the payment for acceptances in the athletic department. Led to a lot of resignations there, and they thought they're getting together. Well, it's one game. We'll see what happens. Now, Jack, tell us a little bit about Steve. Did you have a comment?
I thought that Florida State was making a resurgence. I was wrong, severely wrong with that. So I will admit being wrong. And then we're going to talk Navy coming up here, but they rehired Ivan Jasper today. So they brought him back on staff. So there must be some turmoil going on there. So it's been interesting to watch how by about week 4, we'll understand who the contenders and who the pretenders are.
Yeah, and that was good news here that Ivan Jasper, very well liked, well respected in the business, was brought back into the Navy coaching staff as a quarterback coach. Jack, tell us a little bit about Navy's loss to Air Force down in Annapolis on Saturday.
Yeah, another disastrous game for Navy. It was a 23-3 win for Air Force, the first of the Commander-in-Chief Trophy games there. Navy just had 68 yards total offense, 36 yards rushing. That's 36 yards on 34 carries, which averages to about a little over a yard per carry. Navy was held to just 6 first downs, and they were 1 for 12 on third down conversion attempts. They didn't complete a pass until the fourth quarter. Navy quarterback Xavier Arnline led the team with 31 yards rushing. The only score in the game was a 23-yard field goal by Bijan Nichols early in the second quarter. At one point early in the fourth quarter, Navy actually snapped a punt through the back of their own end zone, which resulted in a safety. You don't see that too often. Air Force had, yeah. Air Force had 225 yards total offense, 176 rushing, 49 passing. Junior running back Brad Roberts led the team with 97 yards rushing, had a 3-yard touchdown run with a minute 9 left in the first half, and a 2-yard touchdown run, 9:13 left in the game. Zeke Daniels rushed for 51 yards, the quarterback, 28-yard touchdown run at the end of the third quarter. Air Force linebacker T.D. Blackman led the defense with a career high 11 tackles. Linebacker Monte Meeks had 9 tackles. 5 tackles each. Now, also Navy offensive coordinator Ivan Jasper fired. This is his 14th season as the offensive coordinator for Navy, and for a long time, the head coach Kendi Amalolo believed that Jasper would beat him and become head coach of midshipmen, but he was fired. Air Force teams are going to be hosting Utah State, one of their rivals. Navy has a bye week before we talked about earlier tonight. So Navy needs to use that extra time to figure out what the heck is going on and straighten it out.
Yeah, it's very unsettling for Navy. Well, I guess when you fire the offensive coordinator, it's sort of like the Yankees firing a pitching coach.
Yeah.
Sam, what are your thoughts on Navy's situation?
I'm hearing a lot of interference on my end, so I'm not sure if it's, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but
You're clear.
yeah, okay. So first off, Navy's problems didn't just happen last season. Navy's problems started about 4 seasons ago. There was a little spark in the dumpster that is now a complete dumpster fire. And I've been saying this for 2 seasons now, that Navy is in trouble. And the problem with Navy was exacerbated by their 2019 season. And why do I say that? Because the 2019 season happened right in the middle of this dumpster fire. You had Malcolm Perry, the asterisk season. And what that did is it made Navy leadership think that there was nothing wrong with Navy. And they continued to cling to the hope and belief that because of the way Ken had turned the team around in the 2019 season, that the problems were gone and that Navy was back into its winning ways when it wasn't. And the fire continued to grow. And it looks like I lost everybody. So am I still on or?
Yes, you're here.
Fine.
I see.
Okay, the screen went blank on my end here, so I wasn't sure. So now we saw last season the disaster that it was. I said at the beginning of this season, and I'm sticking to my guns here.
Yeah.
I'm sticking to my guns here on this one. And that is this. If Navy doesn't turn the ship around fast, This is Ken's last season. And you look at the last 3 Commander-in-Chief Trophy games that Navy has played in, they've produced a whopping total of 10 points. And that's going to make or break you at the academy. You can't even score points in the Commander-in-Chief Trophy games. The academy leadership has finally figured out there's something wrong. And I think that what happened is the athletic director, as heavy-handed as it was, fired Ivan Jasper. There was a huge outcry. I saw it on Twitter. And I believe that Ken was caught off guard. The players were ready to revolt. And they walked back the decision and made a compromise that let Ivan Jasper come back as the quarterbacks coach. But this is all indicative of a true mess that has become Navy football. And they never believed it would happen. They turned a blind eye to it as it unfolded before their very eyes. And now they've got a disaster on their hands. So I don't know, but you look at their schedule for the remainder of the season. I saw a little interesting statistic where they break down the chance percentage of winning games. The highest percentage a chance of winning game, according to this breakdown that Navy had for any game, was against Eastern Carolina, and it was like 25% chance of winning. So there's a very real chance here that Navy could have another O for season. And again, I'm telling you, if that happens, Ken's gone.
Sam, let me ask you and Steve. Sometimes when you look at college football and college athletics, and a team either they go up or they go down, it can be affected by the admissions office and any changes in policies on who they're allowing in to the school. There was a story years ago about Notre Dame not letting Walter Payton's son into the school, who was a very fine player, because I thought he couldn't handle the science or math requirements. Do you think that's something that might be going on at Navy?
I don't. I don't think that, they have the same admission standards as the other service academies. I think the genesis of all this began, the little spark that started the dumpster fire was Ken playing the market for Arizona and BYU. And it hurt recruiting. And, you had a lot of players who were interested in Navy that decided that maybe Navy's not where they want to go because we're not sure if the coach wants to be there. And then Ken reassured everybody that, no, Navy's where I want to be. My son loves it here. I want him to finish high school and all this other stuff. But if you listen to Coach in his post-game conferences for the past 4 seasons, when they win, boy, does he gloat. When they lose, he's got an excuse for everything. Oh, Army beat us because the Navy dress shoes are too tight and they hurt our feet. We were missing our quarterback. Oh, I blame the DOD for scheduling Air Force in the second game of the week or of the season when we usually play them in October. That's why we lost. No, the team has fallen apart. The wheels have fallen off of the Naval Academy and their football program. And I said last week that damage control was not keeping up with the leaks. Counter flooding is not going to help. This ship is going down fast.
Steve, what do you think? Steve Shalou?
Well, I mean, before week 1, I went against Sam and I told him that I didn't think that the Navy could really ever figure out. I mean, I couldn't see a way that they could fire Ken, but I think we found a way. So I was I was wrong about Florida State. I was wrong about this. If I'm wrong about one more thing, I'm going to be in trouble. So I will tell you that the demeanor of Coach N is different on the sideline. He doesn't have the same swagger. There's something not there. There's something missing. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what putting a thumb on it. I guess I could try to find out, but there's something amiss. And it's interesting because we lived it for so long. We can identify it because it feels good to not be there. And we've kind of flipped roles here. And I like it. I think a portion of it is conference play. I think a portion of it is just being with the program for that long and becoming a little bit, lax. I don't know. I think a lot of Coach Ed and what he's done. When we had a player pass away, he was at the funeral. I talked with him. I have got a lot of respect for him as a coach and a human being. I can't say the same for Air Force. I'll throw that out there. But I will tell you that it's hard for me to try to figure out a way because I respect him so much as what he's done for that program. So I'll continue to watch. I saw the same stats between Eastern Carolina and Temple. If they don't get past those two, they could go over for this year, and that would be the nail in the coffin for sure.
Okay, and who does Navy play next?
Well, this week they have a bye week, but 2 weeks from now they're taking on Houston.
Okay, right. And we said Air Force has got Utah or Utah State?
Yep, Utah State.
Utah State, okay. Now let's talk a little bit about Connecticut Huskies. We talked a little bit earlier. They have lost 3 games, shut out twice. Army is a significant favorite. Their coach, who had brought them to years of success in the Big East, Randy Edsel, stepped down. Their defensive coordinator, Lou Spanos, is named as their acting coach. And they've played 3 different quarterbacks. 2 of them are sophomores, Jack Zerdiitis and Stephen Krajewski, both sophomores. And none of their quarterbacks has played in all 3 games. So they're looking for leadership. So I think it's going to be a struggle for them to come into Michie Stadium. It could be a chance for Army to play several quarterbacks, which gets us into the question of has Christian Anderson won the quarterback job now over Tyree Tyler, or is Coach Monken going to again try to get them both into games?
I'll jump on that real quick. So I was at practice on Friday. I'm Tyre practice, but he didn't play on Saturday. He looked good. He looked. I think they rested him another week. They say that you can't lose a job if through injury. I don't know if the job was ever really entrenched. I still remember going through conversations with Sam Houston about Christian Anderson last year on this program, and how we scratched our heads a little bit. But you know what? He's growing on me. He's smooth. He's smooth with the ball. He's smooth outside. He shows burst. I think it's his position to lose at this point. And if we continue on this path, and I think that UConn's a great week to be able to do that. So I would say that it's his until otherwise. And he's shown, and I think he's probably a little bit more durable too. He's got a little bit more, a little bit more oomph to him. So I like it if he starts this week.
Good, Sam. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. And before I address that, I just want to make a quick comment about Air Force. Actually, there's one good thing I like about Air Force, and we need to be ready for him. And he was a pain last year too, and that's Brad Roberts. This young man, he's a little diminutive for a B-back, but he's a baller, that guy. And Air Force, unlike Army, they run one B-back, and it's Brad Roberts, and he comes to play on every down. So he was very gritty. He was the leading rusher for Air Force against Navy, and he got better as the game went on, as Navy started to wear out. My other comment, because I always have to throw in a little zinger about Air Force, even the announcers in the Navy Air Force game mentioned the turnbacks, and they were talking about it as though it was a great thing. 31 players were back on the field for Air Force in the Navy game, either on the sideline or playing. And some of them were playing defense, some of them were playing offense. 31 players. So I will not let this go. I am just as mad about these 31 turnbacks and the fact that the DOD let it happen as I am still about Napoleon McCollum being allowed to redshirt his first season at Naval Academy back in the 80s, simply because he turned his ankle in the first game and came back for the next season, for one more semester. This turn back thing, when we talked about Air Force last week, and we talked about, what kind of team can we expect? That's the X factor. These turnbacks are back on the field, they're playing, and they gained weight, as the announcers made mention. So I guess they were sitting around eating bonbons and stuff while they were taking a semester off and gained some weight. So, but anyway, Christian Anderson, he has, much like Steve said, he has grown on me. The guy has played his two best games as quarterback last week and this past Saturday. He looks more fluid. He looks more confident. He was running the offense with ease. He runs that reverse rollout, to perfection. He ran it twice against Western Kentucky for big yards. One of the times, I think both times, he ran it on third down. He picked up 10 yards or more for a first down. So he has my vote of confidence at this point. He's the starter in my book. You let him start until he has a meltdown. But so far this season, unlike last year, he hasn't had a meltdown. He has looked solid. He has looked really good. And UConn, they say that beware the trap game. You could say that about this week. I don't see UConn even being a trap game. You might have, at worst case scenario, you'd have a game like when Army played the Citadel last week. Army still wins, but it was just absolutely ugly. I really don't think there's any way UConn will win this game. And as Steve mentioned, Army is, I believe, a 32-point favorite in this game. 32 so points. This is a great game to execute at your best. Get the scores mounting up so you can start rotating in some of the talent off the bench to give them playing time in a game. And then when the game's over, you celebrate, you sing the alma mater second, and then you look forward to the next game. And you give UConn a participation trophy for coming to Michie Stadium, and you get on with the season. But yeah, I just, UConn is really a program that's in a mess right now. And much like Navy, they might possibly not win a game this season.
Yeah, and they're going to have to, we're going to have a number of players that are going to be playing this week that normally don't. We'll have a center that is not, Connor's out, and he'll probably be out until Wisconsin game or beyond. I can't get into it, but it's a pretty significant situation with that. And then there was another offensive lineman that got hurt last week too in practice. So there are going to be two out of 40% of your offensive line is going to be relatively new. So that could be a good thing for us to gather some confidence at those positions. So and then I think they're probably going to rest a few people on defense. Cockrell got dinged a little bit. Carter got dinged a little bit. I think they'll be pretty limited in what they do as we move forward and use this as a week to get caught up physically a little bit, because we got a pretty big stretch after that's coming our way.
Certainly the game against Miami coming in, Miami Redhawks, and then going out to Ball State. Jack McGurk, what are your thoughts? What's your score? What's your prediction on the game on Saturday, UConn's visit to Army?
Oh, I definitely like Army in this game. First of all, it's Michie Stadium. They have they're just dominant stadium. And the Huskies, as you mentioned before, having a rough season with those 2 shutout losses, and that kind of a surprise loss to my dad's alma mater, Holy Cross, and then the coach stepping down. So I like Army in this game. I'll say 35-14.
35-14 for Jack McGurk, writing that down. And okay, we got Richard. You got a score for us?
I'm gonna go. I think Army is gonna control this game from the beginning. I'm gonna go Army 30. I'm gonna go 38-14 Army. They're gonna control the game from the beginning. They are not gonna let down, and they will cruise to victory.
Okay, Richard, very good. Sam, you want to go next?
Sure. First off, I'm a little crestfallen to hear about Conor Bishop. That guy's one of the best offensive linemen to come to Army in a long time, and my prayers go out to him to be back totally healed and back on the field as soon as possible. He is a hoss, and his departure from the game in the fourth quarter, it did impact the offense, especially when they went for it on fourth down late. And it went over a block that Conor Bishop would normally be responsible for. And then another player who went down that I'd be curious to hear what his status is McDuffie. Late in the game, he went down. He looked like he was hurt pretty good. So we can't afford to have these kind of losses of starters that are going to have them out for several games when we're about to get into the meat of the schedule. So, that concerns me. But back to the game and the prediction. Yeah, Army is going to control this game. I think Army's going to have their best rushing performance that they've had in quite a while. I think they're going to break the 400-yard mark. They're going to control the game. The offense is going to completely overwhelm time of possession. But I will say this, Army, for some reason, has a challenge when it comes to beating the spread. And Army is a 32-point favorite in this game. And I would love to say that they're going to beat the spread. As a matter of fact, I hope I'm wrong on this. But just because I'm looking at Army's history of not beating the spread, you expect them to, Army's going to win this one 41-10.
41-10 for Sam Houston. Okay. And Steve Shalou, what's your prediction on this?
I too am worried about a little bit of a trap situation, not to lose, but just to play down to an opponent, and not show what we should be showing on that, maybe coming out flat. I don't know, but I hope not. I mean, the true showing of a good team is that you play to your potential and not their team's potential week in, week out, and you do your business and you move on. So that's what I would love to see. In the past, I've seen otherwise, but I'm going to say we're 49-9.
Wow.
We're going nines here. 49-9. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Well, I think we're getting towards larger numbers. I think Army's going to unleash the offense and get the slot backs going, get Jacoby Buchanan going, Anthony Atkins, and I think you're going to see Army play a couple of quarterbacks, get Tyree Tyler back in, and even Jamel Jones, and it's just going to be one energetic quarterback after another for Army. I think the defense is going to feel like they want to reassert themselves after the fourth quarter against Western Kentucky. I think this is going to be a bigger score. I'm going to go for 51-10. I'll give them a touchdown and a field goal, but I'm going to go for 50 points. Coach Munkin in some of these games has let the offense keep running a little late into games. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they get to the 50 mark. But, UConn's another team with a lot of pride and they want to play well. And so it should be an interesting game. We hope people go out to Mikey Stadium on Saturday. Tickets available. It's a great game day. Saturday was an amazing game day against Western Kentucky with the West Point band. The first regiment was on the field. The tributes to 9/11, the halftime show. The West Point band did. Jack was saying they did the Army game at Mikey Stadium on Saturday, and then they went down and did the Giants game at MetLife Stadium on Sunday. So credit to the West Point band. They're glad to see they're back out on the field, and of course, seeing the alma mater performed at the end of the game is always a memorable thing. So if you like Army football and can get out to Mikey Stadium, I think we had about 28,000 at the game and capacity is 40. So there are tickets available, but get there early. That's what we always say to people. Make sure you're there no later than like 10 o'clock to get into the stadium. You want to be in your seat by 11:30 for the pre-game festivities, and lots of things to do. The cadet parade is normally 3 hours before start time, starting at 9 o'clock, which if you can get to, it is just a tremendous event to watch these young people who are cadets at West Point perform. Okay, any final thoughts before we break?
I got one, Ken. This is a little behind the scenes stuff.
Behind the scenes stuff.
I went to practice on Friday, and the thing that struck me was how many reps they took going against the onside kick, and who was the coach that was running it and giving all the comments and getting into people's knickers. Coach Monken. And Markel Broughton was the one recovering the football in most of the practice reps that came, and he was getting on him for not getting on the ball and curling up the proper way. You flash forward one day, and he made two big, huge stops that were super important. And that doesn't happen as easily unless you're on top of that on Friday. And that's the type of coach Coach Monken is. Leaves no stone unturned. It was phenomenal to see it. Nobody else sees it because they're not at practice, but it's there, it's happening. It's phenomenal. And that's why we're better now than we have been in the past because of that attention to detail.
That says it all, Steve.
I'd like to add on to that because Steve nailed it. Coach Monken is in the top 5 coaches in the country. We are so fortunate to have him still as our coach. And I know that he develops those players not to just perform on the field of friendly strife. He develops them as future leaders. He totally falls right in line with the mission of West Point to train and inspire the future leadership, the future officers of the United States Army. And he imparts a little bit of leadership wisdom, if not a large part of leadership wisdom on every single one of them that they will carry with them for however long they're in the Army and their civilian careers beyond. They will always remember their coach and what an impact he had on their lives because of his attention to detail and because of his caring for each and every one of them. And that was on display at the end of the game against Western Kentucky. And people who were watching on national TV, got a good dose of this because they showed replays of it. I don't know the full story. What it appeared to, what people thought was that a Western Kentucky assistant coach was upset about what I heard was Army chop blocking on their last play to run the clock out. And they ran out and he was yelling at an Army player. And who was the first person to intercede and say, don't yell at my players? Coach Monken. And, and then they had words with Western Kentucky's head coach. But, I hope that Coach Jeff Monken remains the Army coach for the rest of his coaching career and becomes the greatest football coach in the history of Army football, ranking right up there with Newt Rockne, and has a field named after him. And for all I know, even a statue. But that's my final thoughts.
Okay, well, let's hope that comes to pass. We will see what happens. But we certainly, I thought he spoke terrific, very heartfelt in talking about 9/11 and the impact on West Point and the cadets and the members of his team, how they feel about service. Okay, I think we'll wrap it up for the night. Jack McGurk, thank you. Hope you're feeling better. And thank you for joining us. I know you had a tough week, but thank you. Good reports on Navy. Richard Miller, thank you for calling from South Carolina and your report on the top 25. Sam Houston, class of 87, West Point from the Beat Navy studio in Huntsville, Alabama. Okay, Richard, good to see you. And Steve Shalou, thank you for your insight and joining us again today. And this is Ken Kreitzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio. I'm in White Plains, New York. And we always want to shout out to the 2 million veterans who are members of the American Legion and the 300,000 members of the Sons of the American Legion who are serving America's veterans. So good night and Have a good week. We'll look forward to seeing everybody at Mikey Stadium on Saturday, 12 noon kickoff versus University of Connecticut. Have a good day. Thanks for watching.
All right.
Yay. Glad you could make it, Jack.